Domestic violence in North Carolina is a pervasive social problem that nothing short of the moon should be used to stop it. However, with that said, there are some unfortunate groups that use North Carolina domestic violence policies to further agendas, build political power, generate money for their causes, and use domestic violence as a tactical tool in the North Carolina family courts to ensure victory in child custody and child support matters. North Carolina Fathers believes that the current North Carolina Domestic Violence Coalition presents many major difficulties for North Carolina non-custodial fathers and women in paternal families as they seek to have equal parentage and access to their minor children and young loved ones. First and foremost, domestic violence is gender neutral, yet many special interest groups want to deny that female-on-male violence exists and that female-on-female violence in domestic partnerships exist. Now that more and more men are speaking out about violence, control, and intimidation via female spouses, federal statistics are now starting to show that men and women use violence as a means to control at the same rate. And as same-sex partnerships become more common, the same statistics show that women hit women at the same rate as heterosexuals. Unfortunately, the politically minded special interest groups only want to portray domestic violence from the standpoint of male-on-female violence because they use this information to get federal and state dollars to further their agendas. Secondly, false allegations of domestic violence are becoming routine and a common tactic used by hopeful custodial mothers in child support and custody matters because they know that this issue has a political side that judges do not want to be on the wrong side of at election time, especially with the special interest groups that have a major influence on elections. North Carolina Fathers believes that North Carolina non-custodial families lose access to their children daily in the North Carolina family courts because judges allow false domestic allegations to proceed to conviction on a regular basis. As more and more U.S. states are adopting equally shared parenting into their laws, each one of these states have provisions that if there is a history of domestic violence, then shared parenting cannot be considered for the father. But why is this same standard not applied to mothers? North Carolina Fathers believes that the day shared parenting becomes presumption in the North Carolina family courts, North Carolina domestic violence statistics will skyrocket as women seeking divorce will be told by their lawyers that if she can just remember a time in the marriage where she was scared, then that counts as domestic violence under the Violence Against Women's Act, and they can move to deny the father not only equal parentage, but any access to children at all. In many circles, there are those that believe that the North Carolina Domestic Violence Coalition has no desire to see this social problem eradicated because there are so many jobs, programs, services, shelters, and infrastructure that needs federal money to keep this industry running. If domestic violence statistics drops, then so will federal money and the ability to use it as a political football and fund programs. North Carolina Fathers believes that the special interest groups who want to make this issue a political issue for the generation of money and those that allow false allegations to proceed to actual convictions will begin to cast a shadow of doubt on real domestic violence, which could hurt many real victims. North Carolina Fathers also believes that the policies of the North Carolina Family Courts spurs a lot of domestic violence because fathers know that historically they are going to lose, be marginalized, and that there is a good possibility that a judge will allow a custodial mother to move the kids hundreds of miles away. We believe that this evokes fear, despair, anxiety, frustration, and desperation in fathers, which all too often manifests itself in domestic violence and murder-suicides.